everybody, my name is Louisa. Today's tutorial is going to be a multi-strand necklace using the beads from the February shipment of the Bargain Bead Box subscription. So anyway, let's go ahead and go over the materials real quick. Basically, we're going to be using pretty much every single item in this subscription. So that's the good news. Usually, you know, I don't know if you noticed, but I run into a situation where I end up with a whole bunch of extra beads, you know, not finding the inspiration to use them all. But in this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and use all of the beads. And by the way, I'm not being sponsored by Bargain Bead Box at all. You know, I'm not being paid by them. I just want to, you know, help you guys get an idea of what to do with beads out of your subscriptions. So anyway, let's get started. You're going to need, the first thing you're going to need is two of the rectangle pendants, and it looks like this. We're going to use this in the design. The next thing you're going to need is 3 of the links, textured links, 3 of these. Okay, we're also going to use 4 of the rondelles. These are the 6x4 Chinese crystal rondelles. We're going to also use the square bead caps. We're going to need about 8 of these. And then the bicone beads in the midnight metallic color. You're going to be using about 24 of these. Okay. And then 6 of the silver-plated round beads, 6mm round beads. And then 6 of the 8mm Picasso Jasper round beads. And then we're also going to use one of the clasps that's included in this subscription. A very nice looking clasp. Okay. We're also going to be using 20 of the I think they're 6mm Jasper round beads. And then we're going to use 18 of the cube spacer beads. Also 16 of the 4mm Chinese crystal cubes in teal color. Cube beads. Okay. And then 2 of the 18 by 13mm Chinese crystal rectangle beads. And then also you're going to be using the large pendant bead as the focal bead on the necklace. And then finally you're going to be needing 2.5 inches of the jewelry chain that's included in the subscription. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So before we get into the assembly of this necklace, I just want to show you real quick the layout of the beads. So anyway, this pendant obviously is going to be hanging down here. And as you can see, it's a 2-strand necklace. And there's the chain at the top. I mean, this is the design that I came up with using all of the beads. But I mean, you can choose whatever design you want to create on your own. The other thing I wanted to mention that not included in the subscription are these wire protectors, and then also the jump rings that we're going to be used to assemble the clasp. So anyway, it's very simple. This component right here is going to be, we're going to be hanging the strands from the spaces right there in the component. And we're also going to be using crimp beads, I forgot to mention. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. So the beading wire that I'm going to be using is the Bead-A-Lon stringing wire, nylon coated stainless steel. And you're going to need one piece that's about approximately 15 inches long, another piece that's about 12 inches, and then 2 other pieces, shorter pieces, I'm sorry, not 2, 4 pieces that are like 6 inches. All right, so the first thing we're going to need to do is to attach the wire to the components, and you're going to be attaching the wire to all 4 corners in the little space right there. Okay, and so let's go ahead and I'll show you how to do that. All right, so I've already gotten started on this. As you can see, I've threaded through the longer wire through this corner using a crimp bead and also the wire protector. This is the longest strand. The shorter strand will come off this corner, and the two very short strands will come off both of these, one in each corner. So you need to thread, you need to thread one component. Don't thread both. Thread one first, then the beads. Then when you get to the end of the strand, then you attach the other component. Okay. So let's go ahead and attach the shorter strand of wire. So let me show you how to do that. So the first thing you do is put on the crimp bead. Okay. Then the wire protector. So it goes in one end, just like that, and then up through the other end. Oops, it's a little tricky because it's kind of small. Okay, whoops, I lost it again. All right, let me try this one more time. Here we go. All right, so once you've got that, it should look like this. And that little crimp bead has kind of gotten out of, there it is, okay. All right, so that's what you want. You want to pull that wire through so it's nice and tight. Then once you've got that, let me tighten this wire again. Then you thread this through the corner of the component. You thread one end of the wire protector through the corner, just like that. All right, and then you go ahead and thread the tail of your wire through the crimp, just like that. Okay, and tighten it up. Okay, then using your crimping tool, you're going to go in there and squish it like that, and squish it again to form a very tight cylinder. Okay, and that's basically it. And you want that tail, you want a little bit of that tail so that you can thread some beads onto it to give it extra security. So you're going to do the exact same thing to the other two corners with the shorter wire. Okay, and again, you don't attach the second component until everything is beaded. So I'm going to go ahead and thread the other two, and I'll be right back. So I have the wire attached to all four corners of the component, and we're going to begin beading. But before we do that, I want to show you this pendant did not come with a bail. So we're going to try to create a little loop so that we can go ahead and hang the pendant on the necklace. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with stringing the beads. The first strand you're going to do is the bottom strand, which is the longer one of the two. So we're going to go ahead and grab the longer strand. Okay, here's the component. We're going to grab the longer strand, and we're going to start by threading on the first one, which is the silver cube bead. Okay, then comes the dark colored bicone, 4mm bicone. Okay, then the 6mm Picasso Jasper, and then another bicone, and then the 8mm Picasso Jasper, then another bicone, then again the 6mm. Oops. Okay, then another bicone, Then the bead cap. Make sure it's facing the right direction. And then comes the crystal rondelle. Then, whoops, then comes the bead cap again. Then the rectangular crystal, rectangle pendant crystal. That's what it's called anyway on the subscription list. And then another bead cap. And then the crystal rondelle again. And then the other bead cap. Then a bicone. A 6mm Picasso Jasper, another bicone, the 8mm, and another bicone, and the 6mm, and then 2 bicones. And at this point, you want to go ahead and thread on your pendant, which I have already attached. I made that bail myself. You can either make it yourself with wire or use a ready-made bail. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go into how I made this one, but you will need to attach it, attach a bail to it. Okay, so anyway, this is what we have so far. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that tail is threaded through the beads, okay? Remember we left a tail? So you want to go ahead and thread quite a few beads onto that tail to give it some extra security. Just make sure that that tail is tucked into those beads. Okay, and then we'll snip the extra later on. So this is what we have. And now we're going to continue repeating the same pattern in the other direction. So here we go. Two of the bicones. 1 6mm Picasso Jasper round bead. Another bicone, the 8mm Picasso Jasper, another bicone, the 6mm one again, another bicone, and now comes the bead cap, the rondelle, the other bead cap, the rectangular crystal, and then another bead cap, and again a rondelle, and the other bead cap. And now the bicone, 6mm Jasper, Picasso Jasper, another bicone, the 8mm Picasso Jasper, another bicone, 6mm, another bicone, and then the silver cube at the end. All right, so this is what we have. Make sure that pendant is in the middle there. And I know you can't see the whole thing, it's the way my camera's set up, but this will be the lower strand, which is the longer one of the two. The other one is gonna sit on top of that. Okay, and at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and attach the other rectangular component to this end. Now that we're finished with this strand. All right, I'll be right back. And attached the other end of the longer strand to the rectangular component. And now we're going to go ahead and bead the second strand, which is shorter. All right, we're going to start out with a silver spacer cube bead, and then the 4 millimeter teal bead. It's a cube, tiny cube. Then comes 6 millimeter Picasso jasper, then another teal cube, and now comes this component. So we're going to have to prepare this component. It needs to be attached a certain way. So let me go ahead and explain that, and I'll be right back. So as you can see, I had to attach another crimp bead. So I basically had to cut the wire and attach a crimp bead, and then attach the wire onto the component and crimp the bead down, and then continue on the other side. So here's the rest of the wire. We're going to continue our pattern. Okay, so the next one is the teal cube bead again. Then comes the 6 millimeter Picasso jasper round bead, then another teal cube bead, then another one of the silver spacers, and the 6 millimeter silver round bead, silver spacer, and then the teal bead again, and the 6 millimeter Picasso jasper, and a teal bead. And once again, we are going to attach another one of these components with a crimp bead. I would go ahead and show you the steps, but I don't want this video to be so long, so I'm going to go ahead and take a little break here while I attach that component. All right, so I've attached the second rectangular component, as you can see, and we're going to continue beading. So let's go back to the pattern. We're going to thread on the teal cube, the 6 millimeter Picasso jasper, another teal cube, then the silver spacer bead, the 6 millimeter silver bead, another spacer bead, another teal cube, and the 6 millimeter Picasso jasper, another teal cube, and you want to make sure that whoops, it's gotten all tangled up here. Let me see if okay. You want to make sure that that tail is tucked into the beads whenever possible to give it some extra security. Okay, so just be aware of that. You don't have to, but I like to do that just because I feel it's a little bit more secure, and it doesn't have to be a whole bunch of beads. Okay, all right, so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and attach the third rectangular component, and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back. I went ahead and decided to attach the rest of the beads. So anyway, we ended up attaching this component. So after that comes the teal cube with the 6 millimeter jasper Picasso bead, teal cube, and then the silver spacer bead. And then I went ahead and attached it to this component, and then moving along to the other end of it, as you can see, the other two short strands, one of them has the spacer cube, the dark bicone 6 millimeter round bead, bicone, 8 millimeter round bead, bicone, 6 millimeter bicone, and then I attached it to a jump ring using another wire protector. Okay. Then on this side is the spacer bead, silver 6 millimeter bead, spacer bead, the teal cube, the 6mm round bead, teal cube, silver spacer, silver 6mm bead, and the spacer, and then I attached that one as well to a large jump ring. Then I attached the chain and one end of the toggle clasp, as you can see. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that on this side. I've repeated the same pattern, as you can see, on this component, and we're going to go ahead and grab the larger jump ring, and we're going to go ahead and open it up just like that. Thread on the two shorter strands. Whoops. Sometimes it's just better to do it by hand. Okay, so you thread those on just like that, and then you attach one end of the chain. So you go ahead and thread that on as well. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and close this jump ring. So this is what we have. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and attach the other jump ring. Open it up, attach it to the other end of the chain and the toggle clasp, close it up. And there you have it. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and put this on a necklace display so you can see what the whole thing looks like. All right, so here's the finished product. I love how it looks. I'm very happy with the results. The beads are all beautiful. That's one of the nice things about the Bargain Bead Box subscriptions. They always send you beads that coordinate, so it's very easy to find inspiration when all the beads match, or not match, but they work well together. And I love the colors, I love the shape, I love the clasp in the back, and I think it turned out pretty nice. So anyway, I hope you like it, and please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.